Hi guys, welcome back to another Percy Jackson and the Olympians video. The reason why I haven't been uploading as of late is because me and my family have been doing preparations on a big project, and I cannot share this project as of now because it's very personal. But when this project is finished, I'll probably, very probably, either tell you guys or tell you guys in some other way. But back on to the Percy Jackson and the Olympians movie. That movie book. Chapter 3. Grover unexpectedly loses his pants. Confession time. I ditched Grover. As soon as we got to the bus terminal, I know, it was rude, but Grover was freaking me out, looking at me like I was a dead man. Why does this always happen? And why does it always have to be 6th grade? Whenever he got upset, Grover's bladder acted, I don't know what this word is, up, so I wasn't surprised when as soon as we got off the bus, he made me promise to wait for him. Then made a beeline for the restroom. Instead of waiting, I got my suitcase, slipped outside, and caught the first taxi uptown. East 100 and fourth and first, I told the driver. A word about my mother before you meet her. Her name is Sally Jackson. She's the best, and she's the best person in the world. Which just proves my theory that the best people have the rottenest luck. Her own parents died in a plane crash when she was 5, and she was raised by an uncle who didn't care much about her. She wanted to be a novelist, so she spent high school working to save enough money for a college with a good creative writing program. Then her uncle got cancer and she had to quit school her senior year to take care of him. After he died, she was left with no money, no family, and no diploma. The only good break she ever got was meeting my dad. I don't have any memories of him, just a sort of warm glow. Maybe the briefest trace of his smile. My mom doesn't like to talk about him because it makes her sad. She has no pictures. So they weren't married, and she told me he was rich and important. And her relationship was a secret. One day, he set sail across the Atlantic on some important journey, and he never came back. Lost at sea, my mom told me. Not dead, lost at sea. She worked odd jobs, took night classes to her high school diploma, and raised me on her own. She never complained or got mad, not even once. But I knew I wasn't an easy kid. Finally, she married a Gabe Ugliano, who was Nice the first 30 seconds we knew him. He showed his true colors as a world-class jerk when I was young. I nicknamed him Smelly Gabe. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. The guy reeked like moldy garlic wrapped in gym shorts. Between the two of us, we made my mom's life pretty hard. The way Smelly Gabe treated her, the way he did, and the way he and I got along, well, when I came home is a good example. I walked into our little apartment hoping my mom would be home from work. Instead, Smelly Gabe was in the living room playing poker with his buddies. The television on board ESPN, chips and beer cans were spilled all over the carpet. Hardly looking up, he said around his cigar, "So you're home. Where's my mom?" "Working," he said. "Got any cash?" "No, we're not." That was it. No welcome back. No good to see you. No, how's your life been? The last 6 months, Gabe had put on weight. He looked like a toothless walrus in thrift store clothes. He had about 3 hairs on his head all combed over his bald scalp, as if that made him handsome or something. He mangled the Ethics Mega Mart in Queens, but he stayed home most of the time. I don't know why he had been fired long before. He just kept collecting paychecks, spending the money on cigars, and that made me nauseous, and beer, of course, always beer. Whenever I was home, he expected me to provide for his gambling funds. He called it our die secret, meaning if I told Mom, he would punch my lights out. "I don't have any cash," I told him. He raised a greasy eyebrow. Gabe could sniff out money like a bloodhound, which is surprising since his own smell should have covered up everything else. "You took a taxi from the bus station," he said. "Probably paid with a 20. Got $6-7 in change. Somebody expects to live under this roof. He ought to carry his own weight. Am I right, Eddie?" Eddie was the super of the apartment building. He looked at me with a twinge of sympathy. "Come on, Gabe," he said. "The kid just got here." "Am I right?" Gabe repeated. Eddie shoveled into his Super Bowl prizes. The other two guys passed gas in harmony. "Fine," I said, and I drug a wad of cash out of my pocket and threw the money on the table. "I hope you'll lose." "The report card came home, brain boy," he shouted after me. "I wouldn't act so snooty." I slammed the door to my room, which really wasn't my room. During school months, it was Gabe's study. He didn't study anything in here except old car magazines, but he loved shoveling my stuff into the closet, leaving his muddy boots on my windowsill doing the best to make my place smell like nasty cologne. And and cigars and stale beer. I dropped my suitcase on the bed. Home sweet home. Gabe's smell was almost worse than the nightmares about Miss Dodds or the sound of that old fruit lady's shears snipping the yard. But as soon as I thought that, my legs felt weak. I remembered Grover's look of panic. How did he make me promise I wouldn't go without him? A sudden chill rolled through me. Felt like felt like something was looking for me right now. Pondering its way up the stairs, growing long, horrible talons. Then I heard my mom's voice. Percy! She opened the bedroom door, and my fears melted. My mother can make me feel good just by walking into the room. Her eyes sparkle and change color in the light. Her smile just as warm and as quiet. She got a few gray streaks mixed in with her long brown hair, but I never think of her as old. When she looks at me, it's like she's seeing all the good things about me, and none of the bad. I never heard her raise her voice or say an unkind word to anyone, not even me or Gabe. Oh, Percy! She hugged me tight. I can't believe you've grown since Christmas. Her red, white, and blue scent of America uniform smelled like the best things in the world. Chocolate, licorice, and all the other stuff sold at the candy shop in Grand Central. She bought me a huge bag of free samples, the way she always did when I came home. We sat together at the edge of the bed while I attacked the blueberry sour strings. She ran her hand through my hair and this bubbled to this humbled to know everything I hadn't put in my letters. She didn't she didn't she didn't maintain anything about my getting expelled. She didn't seem to care about that. But was I okay? Was her little boy doing alright? I told her she was mothering me and to lay off all of that. But secretly, I was really glad to see her. From the other room, Gaby yelled, "Hey Sally, how about some more bean dip, huh?" I glittered my teeth. My mom was the nicest lady in the world. She would have been married to a millionaire, not some jerk like Gabe. For her sake, I tried to sound upbeat about my last days at Yancey Academy. I told her I wasn't too down about the expulsion. I listed almost the whole year this time. I'd made some new friends. I did pretty well in Latin, and honestly, the fights hadn't been that as bad as the headmaster said. I liked the Yahtzee Academy. I really did put such a good spin on the year. I almost convinced myself I started choking up, thinking about Grover and Mr. Bruno. Even Nancy Boba Fett didn't seem so bad until that trip at the museum. What? What? My mom said. Her eyes toggled at my hmm, confidence, trying to pull out secrets. Did something scare you? No, Mom. I felt bad lying. I wanted to tell her about Mrs. Dodds and the three old ladies with the yarn. I thought it would sound dumb. She pushed she pursed her lips. She knew I was holding back, but she didn't push me. I have a surprise for you. She said. We're going to the beach. My eyes widened. Montauk? 3 nights, same cabin. When? She smiled. As soon as I as soon as I get as soon as I get changed. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. My mom hadn't been to Montauk the last 2 summers because Gabe said there wasn't enough money. Gabe appeared in the doorway and growled, "Bean dip, Sally? Didn't you hear me?" I wanted to punch him, but I met my mom's eyes and understood she was offering me a deal. Be nice to Gabe for a little while, just until she's ready to leave for Montauk. Then we'll get out of here. I was on my way. Get out of here. I was on my way, honey, she told Gabe. We were just talking about the trip. Gabe's eyes got stale. The trip. You were serious about that. I knew it, I mumbled. He won't let us go. Of course he will, my mom said adamantly. The stepfather just got worried about money. That's all. Besides, she added, Gabriel won't have to settle for a bean dip. I make him enough 7-layer dip to last the whole weekend. Gremio sour cream the works. Gabe softened a bit. So this money for your trip, it comes out of your clothes budget, right? Yes, honey, my mom said. Okay, the guy. Okay. Yes, honey, my mother said. And you won't take my car anywhere but there and back. We'll be very careful. Gabe scratched his chin. Maybe if you hurry with that 7-layer dip, and maybe if the kid apologizes for interrupting my poker game, maybe if I kick you in your soft spot, and make you sing soprano for a week. But my mom's eyes warned me not to make him mad. Why did she put up with this guy? I wanted to scream. Why did she care what he thought? I'm sorry, I mumbled. I'm really, really sorry that I interrupted your incredibly important poker game. Please go back to it right now. Gabe narrowed his eyes. His tiny brain was probably trying to detect scarcerism in my statement. Yeah, whatever, he decided. He went back to his game. Thank you, Percy, my mom said. Once we get to Montauk, we'll talk more about whatever you forgot to tell me, okay? For a moment, I saw anxiety in her eyes. The same fear I'd seen in Grover during the bus ride. As if my mom felt an odd chill in the air. But her smile returned, and I figured I must have been mistaken. But then she ruffled my hair and went to make Gabe his 7-letter dip. An hour later, we were ready to leave. Gabe took a break from his poker game long enough to watch me lug my mom's bags into the car. He kept gasping and groaning about losing her cooking. And more important, his 78 Camaro. For the whole weekend. Not a scratch on my car, brain boy. He warned me as if I loaded the last bag. Not one scratch. Like I'd be the one driving. I was 12, but that didn't matter to Gabe. As a seagull as much as pooped on his paint job, he'd found a way to blame me. Watching him lumber back towards towards the apartment building, I got so mad I did something I can't explain. As Gabe reached the doorway, I made the hand gesture I'd seen Grover make on the bus, sort of waving off evil gesture. A clawed hand over my heart, shoveling movement towards Gabe. The screen door slammed shut, and I heard it whack him in the butt, and set him flying up the staircase as if he'd been shot from a cannon. Maybe it was just the wind or some freak accident with the hinges, but I didn't stay long enough to find out. I got in the Camaro and told my mom to step on it. Our original cabin on the South Shore, way out on the tip of Long Island. It was a little pastel box filled with centuries of half shaken into dunes. There was always sand in the sheets and spiders in the cabinets. And most of the time, the sea was too cold to swim in. I loved the place. When we'd been going there since I was a baby. My mom had been going even longer. She never exactly said, but I knew the beach was special to her. It was a place where she met my dad. As we got closer to Montauk, she seemed to grow younger, years of worry and work disappearing from her face. Her eyes turned the color of the sea. We got there at sunset. opened all the cabin windows and went through our usual cleaning routine. We walked on the beach and fed blue corn chips to the seagulls, and munched on jelly beans, ta- blue saltwater taffy, and all the other free samples my mom brought from work. I guess I should explain the blue food. See, Gabe had once told my mom there was no such thing. They had this fight which seemed really small thing at the time. But ever since, my mom went out of her way to eat blue. She baked blue birthday cakes. She mixed blueberry smoothies. She brought blue corn tortilla chips and brought home blue candy from the shop. This, along with keeping her maiden name Jackson rather than calling herself Miss Ugliano, was proof that she wasn't totally suckered by Gabe. She told me Gabe, she did have a rebellious streak like me. When it got dark, we made a fire and roasted hot dogs and marshmallows. My mom told me stories about when she was a kid, back before her parents died in the plane crash. She told me about the books she wanted to write someday. And when excuse me, she wanted to write about someday when she had enough money to quit the candy shop. Eventually, I had got up the nerve to ask about what was always on my mind. Whenever we'd come to Montauk, my mom's eyes went all misty. I figured she would tell me the same thing she'd always did, but I never got tired of hearing them. He was kind, Percy, she said. Tall, handsome, and powerful, but gentle too. You have his black hair, and his green eyes. Mom fished a blue jelly bean out of her candy bag. I wish I could see you. I wish he could see you, Percy. He would be so proud. I wondered. I wondered how she could say that. What was so great about me? A dyslexic, hyperactive boy with a D+ report card, kicked out of schools for the 6th time in 6 years. How old was I asked. When he left. She watched the flames. He was only with me for one summer, Percy. Right here at this beach cabin. But he knew me as a baby. No, honey. He knew I was expecting a baby, but he never saw you. He had left before you were born. I tried to square with that fact that I seem to remember something about my father, a warm glow and a smile. I'd always assumed he knew me as a baby. My mom had never said it outright, but still, I'd felt it must have been true. Now, to be told that he never even seen me, I felt angry at my father. Maybe it was dumb, but but reject, but I resented him for going on that ocean voyage, for not having the guts to marry my mom. He'd left us, and now we were stuck with smelly Gabe. "Are you going to send me away again?" I asked her. "To another boarding school." She pulled a marshmallow from the fire. "I don't know, honey." Her voice was heavy. "I think we'll have to do something. But because you don't want me around, I regretted the words as soon as they were out. My mom's eyes welled with tears. She took my hand and squeezed it tight. "Oh, oh, Percy, no. I, I, I have to, honey. For your own good. I have to send you away." Her words reminded me of what Mr. Brenner had said. "It was the best for me to leave Yancey Academy because I'm not normal," I said. "You could say that as if it's a bad thing, Percy, but you don't realize how important you are. I thought Yancey Academy would be far enough away. I thought you'd be finally safe." "Safe from what?" She met my eyes and a flood of memories came back. The weird, scary things that had ever happened to me, which I tried to forget. During third grade, a man in a black trench coat stalked me on the playground. When the teacher threatened to call the police, he went away growling. But no one believed me when I told him that under that board-brimmed hat, the man only had one eye in the middle of his head. And before that, a really early memory was in preschool. A teacher put me down for a nap in a cot. A snake slithered into my mom screamed, and she picked me up and found me playing with a limp, scarily rope. I'd somehow managed to strangle to death with my meaty toddler hands. In every single school, something creepy had happened, something unsafe, and I was forced to move. I knew I should tell my mom about the 3 old ladies at the fruit stand and Miss Dodds at the art museum. About my weird hallucinations that I had sliced my math teacher into death with a sword. But I couldn't make myself tell her. I had a strange feeling that the news would end our trip to Montauk, and I didn't want that. "I tried to keep you as close as I could," my mom said. "They told me it was a mistake. And there are only one other option, Percy. The place your father wanted to send you, and I just couldn't stand to do it. My father wanted me to go to a special school." "A school," she said softly. "A summer camp." My head was spinning. Why would my dad, who hadn't even stayed around long enough to see me born, talked to my mom about a summer camp. And if it was so important, why hadn't she mentioned it before? I'm sorry, Percy, she said, seeing the look in my eyes, but I can't talk about it. I couldn't send you to that place. It might have been meant saying goodbye to you for good. For good? But if it's only a summer camp, she turned toward the fire. And I knew from her expression if I asked her any more questions, she would start to cry. That night, I had a vivid dream. It was storming on the beach, and two beautiful animals, a white horse and a golden eagle, were trying to kill each other at the edge of the